In response to COVID-19, PSP is offering telefitness to Canadian Armed Forces members. By using social media platforms, the telefitness classes tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel become accessible to all. Prior to participating in this session and to make an informed decision on whether you should seek advice from a qualified exercise professional or healthcare provider, consent the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference document. By continuing with this telefitness class, you understand that there is a possibility of physical injury and you agree that you do so voluntarily at your own risk. You also assume all risk of injury and agree to release the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services from any and all claims related to your participation in this telefitness class.
How's it going, everyone? Scott Lewis, fitness and sports instructor for PSP at 4CDTC Meaford here. Today we have a total body circuit. It's going to be 4 rounds with a 60-second rest at the end of each round. We've got 4 exercises, 20 sandbag lifts, 8 hand release burpees, 8 alternating lunges in a complex, and then 12 reps for the banded row. So what you're going to need as far as equipment is a duffel bag that you can put a little bit of weight in or wrap up some sweaters, make it a little bit heavier. A light resistance band, and then weight is optional for the lunges. So if you either want to hold it as a goblet squat, so a kettlebell, or if you want to have weights in either hand, whether it's kettlebells or dumbbells, either would be fine for that. So the primary focus of today's workout is our aerobic system, just because we're doing these back to back with relatively little rest, but we're also going to end up strengthening the full body. So the sandbag lifts are going to target the squat and or deadlift mechanics. The burpees, full body exercise. Alternating lunges are going to get the adductors, the quads, hamstrings, glutes, and the banded row is going to get the upper back. So before we begin, I'll show you guys the demos, then we're going to get our general warm-up followed by some mobility, and then we'll get right into it.
So first up, we're going to start with 20 reps of a sandbag lift. So as you can see here, I'm using a duffel bag, but you can feel free to use a backpack or whatever you have on hand that's going to be an appropriate resistance. I'm taking a slightly wider stance than a regular squat just because that'll get me lower down to the bag, and then I can explode up with that weight. So if you're practicing for a force test, trying to get it as applicable as possible, obviously you're going to want that weight as close to 20 kg as possible, and then you're going to want to set yourself up the way you would for that force test. So this is the pattern that I take. If you have longer limbs, you'll likely take a deadlift pattern. Next up, we have 8 reps for hand release burpees. The jump at the top is optional. In force test procedures, obviously you're not going to be jumping up to the top, so that part is just your option to add in if you'd like. What would be more applicable is to make sure that you're doing the hand release at the bottom as is required for the 20-meter rushes in that force test. So there you're going down all the way, releasing the hands, and then pushing yourself up enough to get your hips underneath you. Next up, we have 8 reps for an alternating lunge complex. So you're going to start on whichever side you prefer. You're going to step outside laterally and then forward on that same leg before switching to the next. So this way we're going to emphasize the quads, the glutes, the adductors inside the thigh, and we're looking at ankle mobility as well. So when you're stepping to the outside, just reach out as far as you can comfortably. Make sure you get that good squeeze on the quad as you push yourself back to center. And then when you're in the front plane, you're going to make sure that your feet remain about hip width apart for stability. Last up, we have 12 reps for the banded row. As I'll mention later, where you anchor the band doesn't really matter, so mine just happens to be a little bit above shoulder height. But what stays the same is that I'm initiating by pulling my elbows back in order to get a squeeze in between the shoulder blades in my upper back. So my head remains neutral. If you want, you can add a seat to this. I'm just using the floor just because it was easiest for the circuit setting. But just make sure that you're comfortable. You can get your torso in a nice neutral seated position, and that you're going to lead with those elbows.
Alright, so we're all warmed up, mobilized, ready to go. Feel free to play some music. I will be giving the additional cues throughout, so just pay attention for that. So your setup should be roughly the same as mine. As you can see in the background, I've got my kettlebell ready to go for that lunge complex. The duffel bag is by the door for the sandbag lifts. I've got my band anchored onto my squat rack. And then you just need a little bit of space for your burpees as well. So try to have your setup similar to this one right here. And let's get going. We'll start off with the 20 sandbag lifts on the door. Core braced, feet roughly shoulder width apart. Good. Next up, hand release burpees. Good. Alternating lunges. One more on either side. Good. End off with 12 banded rows. Good stuff. Grab a drink. 60 seconds to rest here. So as always, even mid-set, you can take a break if you need to. Just make sure you don't gas yourself out here in the first round. All right, 30 seconds. We're going to start round number 2. Doesn't matter whether you're a squat dominant form for these sandbag lifts or a deadlift form, you're going to need to keep your core braced for either. If you got longer legs, the deadlift might feel a little bit more comfortable for you. So just have a look at both. I have the squat pattern going on here, but just choose whatever is more comfortable for you. Get ready. 20 sandbag lifts. Here we go. Good. 8 hand release burpees. Lunge complex. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. And 8. Good. Core braced, back upright, head neutral, 12 rows. Squeeze those shoulder blades. Good stuff. Round number 2 complete. 2 more rounds to go. Grab some water. Don't sit down. Stay upright. Keep moving around. Nice and easy. It doesn't particularly matter how high up you set your band for these rows. Mine is slightly higher than my shoulders, but I'm still making sure to lead with my elbows and get that good squeeze in my upper back. So you can go a little bit lower if that's more comfortable. You can have double overhand. Mine is more of a neutral grip here. And again, it won't affect your back too much. You might feel it a little bit more in your biceps the more you turn your wrists upwards, but feel free to play with it round to round. 10 seconds and we'll get going for round number 3. All right, 20 sandbag lifts. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Halfway, keep it up. Good. Burpees. Let's go. 8. One more. Onto the lunges. Keep that weight nice and close to your body. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Rows, let's go. Squeeze, relax. Squeeze, relax. Good stuff. Round number 3 complete. One more round to go. Water up. Take those legs out. While you're waiting here, think about what these exercises mean to you. So if you're trying to work on that aerobic power, you're going to try to bust these out as quickly as possible, having the most efficient cardiorespiratory system that you can. If you want to get your sandbag lift specific times up, then you might want to have closer to that 20 kg sandbag and not light like my duffel bag is. So you might want to load up a little bit more on that, even adding in some lateral shuffles in there too. So make this workout your own, think about your goals, and try to meet them. 10 seconds, we'll get started. Three, two, one, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Last round of the burpees, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Lateral, forward, 1. Lateral, forward, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Last exercise. Let's finish strong here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Relax, grab yourself a drink, and I'll meet you in the cool down. Good job, everybody. There you go. Good job, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the workout today. If you had any injuries or issues pertaining to this workout, please fill out a CF98. Otherwise, have a good day.